if I'm picking.
Let me ask you something, man. Like Billboard just put out this list, top 50 rappers of all time. What do you think about Kendrick Lamar getting number two on this list? Like, what were your first thoughts? Because I know everybody wants to know.
Of course. I don't agree, obviously, but I my first thought was that are you trying to say that he's better at the things that made Tupac great than like Tupac is? Because the way that this list is kind of organized, when I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, like you picked guys with a message for your 2, 3, 4. You feel me? And so, what about the message on number 2 supersedes 3 and 4? Is my question based on how it's put together. Now, my personal thoughts is like 17, 18. But based on what we're left with, if I was just judging it based on how I feel like they kind of played it, it's like, well, what message has he kicked to you that makes you think that he deserves to be ahead of Nas and Tupac? Let's take all the lyrical shit like out. Let's talk about content, storytelling, and message. Because you and I have often talked about it's like, well, message is kind of confusing because he kind of be all over the place and really doesn't clarify in interviews or in music. And so when we're talking about his message, if his message is kind of what has him here, and I think that have something to do with it, well, how did we get here? And how did he end up ahead of those two guys specifically of the 10 that we were left with? I'm not looking at it like in the whole. I'm looking at it in the microcosm of what's left. And for what we're left with, it's like, okay, well, what's your rationale on that? And this is where I feel like quality of music matters. And it's like, okay, well, show me the albums, show me the songs, show me the rhymes. And so my first thought after I went through all of that, these are all my first thoughts. My thoughts happen fast. I immediately went to, well, we know Illmatic is better than Good Kid, Mad City. But I think there might be a contingency of people that actually think that maybe something like To Pimp a Butterfly is better than It Was Written. What say you to that?
I think, and this is from somebody who heard, and it's funny, Supreme Clientele celebrating 23 years today. We might talk about that later on as well.
Supreme
One of my personal
Clientele.
favorite albums. I think it's the best hip hop album of the 2000s. Now, when I heard To Pimp a Butterfly, I didn't go on social media. I just listened for myself, and my thoughts halfway through it was like, this is the best hip hop album I've heard since Supreme Clientele. But at the time, nobody around me felt like that. I felt like I was kind of alone in my bubble with some of my nerd hip hop friends about how we felt about the album. And I even saw when Kendrick got on Big Boy's show in promotion for Damn, they asked him to put his albums in order. He put To Pimp a Butterfly at 3 behind Good Kid, Mad City, and Damn. And I was kind of disappointed. Like, damn, I thought this was really your magnum opus. Fast forward, now everybody's saying that this is the one, and it doesn't seem organic and it doesn't seem real. Like, so I don't really feel it feels manufactured in a sense, right? Like, we knew Illmatic was Illmatic when it dropped. We knew The Chronic was The Chronic when it dropped. Shit, we knew 2001 was 2001 when it dropped. We knew Supreme Clientele collectively. We all have these individual albums that we draw to. Aquemini, same thing, right? Like, these albums and these artists would tell you, like, I remember when Jay-Z was on the radio when The Blueprint came out, and he was super confident about how dope this album was. He's like, yeah, it's classic. Even the air between the songs is hot. You know what I'm saying? And I never got that energy from Kendrick or the masses about To Pimp a Butterfly, honestly, until like 2 years ago. And I don't know what that says about that effort. So with that being said, no, I don't think that that album really contends with the all-time great albums because even they don't feel that way. At least they didn't feel that way. And I don't know if something changed, but I just don't feel like, my thought process is so ahead of its time that it took the rest of the world nearly 10 years to catch up to what I heard when I initially heard the album. Connection is key, right? You know, you have to be able, the album has to be able to connect. If I heard an album that I thought was brilliant, it was brilliant to me, and it wasn't brilliant to everybody else, including the artist, like, I can't sit there and put it with the albums that everybody feels collectively are brilliant. I can't.
Did you see the clip that's floating around about Get Rich or Die Trying's 20th anniversary? Mm-hmm. And how are you listening to Dre talk?
Yeah.
M and 50 talk? Mm-hmm. Listen to what they said. This is in 2001.
I heard the albums they mentioned.
They're like, no, we just feel like we made something that you can play next to Illmatic and Ready to Die and The Chronic. They're in front of the camera saying that shit before this album came out.
And then they threw in the Marshall Mathers LP, which is clearly bullshit. But it was funny that Eminem said, I wish my first album was banging like this. Now, that's a real statement.
And because it's real.
It's real. He knows. Listen, man, he knows what it is.
Hold on.
He's a hip-hop head. He knows his shit don't stand up.
No, Mike. We're going to talk about him. We're doing Kendrick right now.
Let me get to the super chats. We'll get back to that. 36 Chambers, and I want to go through the top 10. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, they did K-Dot, he said, they did with K-Dot what y'all predicted, and they were going to do it with Eminem. Slide him into the spot between the few guaranteed top fives, trying to distract from the fact that he doesn't belong there. They aren't slick. I think, to piggyback on that, I think Kendrick has kind of become their new Eminem in that way, where they can slide him into these positions. He's the black Eminem kind of.
Mike, I'm glad that you're saying that, because this is my issue about you not taking issue with this sooner. You've been letting Kendrick ride about the same stuff you've been riding for Eminem on, except for the fact that Eminem's not black and Kendrick is, and therefore the ethos and the pathos and the things conceptually are more drawing, or you're drawn in by them more. But technically, what's going on, Mike, is the same fucking thing.
Well, Kendrick
like he's a technical rapper, just like Eminem. He's a technical rapper like Black Thought and Rakim are, Mike. It's just he's not black.
No. Let's not do that, because those guys don't have a "Hi, my name is" in their catalog. They don't have a shaboing boing boing.
But
they
in
don't
terms
have
of
those
technical
records.
rhyming patterns, what his traditional technical. See, Mike, you keep talking about these songs, but what I'm talking about, what he traditionally does, is that technical rhyming stuff, and that's usually what you take issue with. You really don't take issue with "Hi, my name is." You take issue with the technical rhyming that really doesn't say anything.
I take issue with the corny records too, because I know that there's no way that Jay-Z and Nas would be able to get away with "My bum is on your lips." My bum is on your lips. They would never be able to get away with those.
I don't know.
They wouldn't. Come on, man. Running around with a cape with their ass out? No.
Oh, no.
Dressing in drag? No, they wouldn't be able to get away with that.
I remember the verse to "Drunk in Love."
I mean, come on, man. You can't compare the verse to "Drunk in Love."
Remember the Uchi Wally remix verse?
You can't compare those verses to the real Slim Shady verses. You can't. You can't compare those verses to "Boing Boing Boing." You can't.
Mike, they're not good.
They're bad.
This is what I'm saying. See, this is what I'm saying.
We Made You. You remember that song? We Made You.
Hold on. But I want you to listen to what I'm trying to tell you. Is that you see when the black rapper spits the bad verse, are we criticizing it the same way you're criticizing Eminem when he spits the bad verse? Because these guys got bad verses.
They got verses that are trash, like the "Shaboing Boing Boing" song.
I didn't say.
What do you mean? I ain't in it. Come on, man. It's not the same.
But that doesn't mean. See, but this is what I'm saying. When he operates on another level and gets more lyrical, you're like, well, he ain't saying nothing.
Well, he doesn't.
Okay.
Jay Short with the super chat
What is Kendrick saying? That's my whole point. Well, what is Kendrick talking about then? What's his message again?
He has messaging, even though some of the messages are kind of all over the place.
is that you need to get up on your local network provider and see about getting you some therapy so that you don't have to stream or download or do what the fuck ever with his next album. Because it's not even a weed plate. It's a therapy plate that you smoke some weed too with your therapist. Find you a cool, like holistic therapist that'll roll one up with you, like the one that has like a eucalyptus plant and like a bonsai in the office with a waterfall and shit. That's all that fucking album is doing, okay?
Let me get to the super chat real quick. Jay Short says, I found it interesting the lack of justification for putting Jay-Z number one. A lot of Mogul and Beyonce stuff. Not a lot of rap evidence outside of charts. I'm going to read that because I didn't even read that, actually, Jay Short. That's interesting that they didn't go there with it. Nato the Great with the super chat says, everybody at Billboard needs to do a walk of atonement. And I'm a Kendrick fan. Let's see. Jay Short also says, A2HH and the listeners ate the reason that Nas is number 3. I guess he said, we are the reason. Yeah, are the reason that Nas is number 3. I agree. They won't acknowledge A2HH, but they're listening and they use what's said here for credibility. I do believe you guys are the reason that Nas was so high, and the run, obviously the run that Nas is on, but the fact that people are acknowledging this run, I think if it was left up to the mainstream, they would ignore this run and act like it never happened. They try to act like magic never happened anyway. DeCarlo with the super chat says, Mike, you got to stop with these Eminem takes. If Redman made those songs and albums, I somehow feel like he would not be criticized as harshly and would get respect. What you mean if? He didn't know. And he did like, I don't like that. What takes?
Like, a lot of the stuff that happened to Redman is the stuff that's happening in the M, though. It's like, well, how's the music holding up? Where are the real big singles
at least Redman has some hardcore stuff. Let's say this, because I don't like the Redman comparison per se, because, you know, he has the Method Man Association, the Wu-Tang Association. I would rather compare it to something like Ludacris. And I feel like I've said these things about Ludacris. Have I not? I've said these things.
Stay on Kendrick at number 2. Kendrick
I've said these things. No, we're going to get... Let me get to the...
between Jay-Z and Nas. Even the title, Mike, I just pulled up our YouTube. It says, Billboard ranks Kendrick Lamar as the second best rapper of all time.
Of all time.
Benny and Hit Boy have a new album coming. Yeah, I sent them a line on Twitter. They did not reply.
Morale Prophetic with the super chat says...
still waiting.
Morale Prophetic, with the super chat says, Mr. Morale is a classic, Grammy-winning masterpiece. Best rap album. Best rap album at the Grammys this year, it did that. We'll talk about that as well. So let me go through...
Poverty's Paradise by Naughty by Nature. Nobody thought it deserved it.
We'll go through those as well. Okay, so here's Billboard's 10. They have released their 10 through number 1 of their top 50 rappers of all time. 10, Nicki Minaj. Hold on. I don't want to miss anybody's super chat. 10, Nicki Minaj. 9, Snoop Dogg. Feel like I called those 2.
Can we just pause for a second? So, wherever Kim is, which was like 31, we just need to take Nicki and Kim and swap them. Keep going. Because every reason that you have down for Nicki being down there is like, oh yeah, but Kim did that first. So like,
well, let me just read what they say about Nicki then.
Okay, let's read Lil' Kim's autobiography done over.
They say hailing from South Jamaica, Queens, by way of Trinidad and Tobago. Nicki Minaj earned her crown as the modern-day queen of rap with her fierce, braggadocious spirit. Her 2009 mixtape, Beat Me Up, Scotty, established her as a lyrical powerhouse shortly before she emerged as the first lady of Young Money, solidifying the label's infinable trinity as a top-conquering rap beast in Lil Wayne and Drake. Over a slew of genre-bending albums, Pink Friday. Say
that again, over a slew of what?
Genre-bending albums.
Okay, not rap albums. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, genre-bending. But that's your girl Missy, too. I love Missy. Genre-bending. Pink Friday, Roman Reloaded, and Pink Print. And a killer verse on the most famously Kanye West's Monster. I knew they were going to mention that. Kanye should be higher. Nicki has defended her title over a decade with incredibly animated flows and alter egos. From soft-spoken, pink-haired Barbie to a volatile Roman with the British cocky accent. She's undeniably blazed the trail for the next generation of female MCs, while at the same time building the legacy whose impact is hardly limited to the hip-hop world. Nicki is one of only a dozen artists who have more than 100 Billboard Hot 100 entries and earned the MTV Video Vanguard Award in 2022 for her provocative music videos. Listen, I clearly disagree, right? Because, Rakim's at 14. Nobody in the world would say
just
Nicki's better than Rakim. But I do like the fact that in this era where the mainstream has clearly turned on Nicki and really kind of shits on Nicki, I'm glad somebody's giving her props. I'll say that.
Swap her out and stick her at 31 where she belongs, please.
Vernon with the super chat says, I had an awfully hot coffee pot. That's a hot coffee pot. Yeah. Peter Parks with a super chat says, guys, I know for a fact that the industry is checking for you guys on the low. They're trying to steal your sauce, but they not authentic. Can never be authentic.
I actually think that this list is reflective of them being shaped by some of our critical thinking on here, because when I was looking at how this list was formed, I was like, well, this is closer to how I would pick this list.
With the people that are left.
With the people that are left.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, because here's the thing, and this is what I mean about it, is like, how you going to have Jay at number one? And then it's like, well, how about this? Not being funny, the guys with the least amount of hits on this list, in terms of like notarized and recognizable ones, are the guys they have at 2 or 3. It's like when y'all get on some rap shit. You feel me?
Having Kendrick in between Jay and Nas, like, the debate's never been, who's better, Jay or Kendrick? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I mean, and all jokes aside, it's like, well, I know To Pimp a Butterfly is better technically than like something like a Volume 1. But niggas ain't running around spitting the verses to like imaginary players and 1,000,001 questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, niggas are spitting those verses still. It's like, what verse are you spitting off The Pimp a Butterfly like that? You know what I'm saying? A lot of speculation about the monies I've made, honeys I've slayed. How is he for real? Is that nigga really paid? Hustlers I've met or dealt with direct. Is it true he stayed in beef and slept with a What's the position you hold? Like, how many Kendrick verses off The Pimp a Butterfly can you just start reeling off like that to really, like, justify, like, this is the guy that's right after the guy that you guys have notarized as number one? You get what I'm saying?
No, I feel
and so
what you're
the
saying.
flow of it doesn't make sense when you put Kendrick right there, because it's like, whatever rubric they're using, well, technically, Kendrick would fall further back in this rubric unless you're rating it on albums. And even if you were rating it on albums, within the realm of this context, you would still probably put him at like 4 or 5.
Kendrick's biggest asset is his technical ability. And I know we said album making ability, but even the technical album making ability, the skits, the themes, his technical way of approaching writing. You know what I mean? But the other guys, I mean, let's look at the feature game, right? Because I think feature game, I think a lot of people don't put as much weight on it as it needs to be put on it, excuse me. But what feature game does in hip hop, it shows you your ability to adjust to other people's world.
And feature game way nastier than Kendrick's.
Oh yeah, it is. And I don't think that he has the most versatile scope of being able to adjust the tracks. He's scared of a DJ Premier track. And even with that being said, his feature game is still better. Jay Short with the super chat says, Coop, That wasn't right to compare Poverty is Paradise to Mr. Morale. Tretch was flowing on that album.
It was the last. It's the last time I could think of, and it was '95. Think about it. It was '95.
It was the first album, first album to win the best rap album because they didn't have that category before then.
Yeah.
It was that one, then The Score, and then
it was their worst album.
Yeah, it was. All right, so Nicki's at 10. Snoop Dogg.
I wasn't trying to disrespect Tretch. Tretch is nasty. He's one of the most underrated MCs ever.
I agree. Snoop at 9. Drake at 8. Should I read what they said?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Lil Wayne at 7. The Notorious B.I.G. at 6.
Mm.
Never mind. Eminem at 5. I want to read what they say here.
I actually think that them putting Eminem at 5 was a business decision. This is what I mean. And this is what I mean. They've been paying attention to us. They're like, well, if we put them where we really want to put them, the hell that we're going to catch. They're like, have you been watching this guy, Coop? This nigga is crazy. Like, not like Richard Pryor, this nigga is crazy, but this nigga is crazy. And so, like, we don't want him to keep on pulling up because he's been spending the last two years up our ass anyway about a variety of things. But we still feel, you know what I mean? It becomes those type of political conversations. So I do think we're impacting this list some because it's like, oh, no. They want to put this motherfucker at number 2. He's the one that they want to put in between Jay and Nas. It's like they want to have their classic hip hop street poet. That's Nas, quote unquote. They want to have their hustler, businessman / baller. That's Jay, and they want to stick that white boy right in the middle. But they know it's going to be a pull up if they do that. And so Kendrick,
they would rather Kendrick get that smoke.
This is the swap, Mike. But this is what I'm saying. This is what happens when everybody gets on M. People like you get on Eminem for what he does, but don't get on Kendrick because he's black. Now they just done swap Kendrick in, and everybody's like, ooh, Kendrick don't deserve to be there. Well, no shit. If we would have addressed this Eminem thing properly and appropriately and respectfully.
But again, Kendrick.
Now they're just swapping Kendrick in. They put Kendrick in Eminem's place because he's black and they don't have to worry about catching the smoke now. And now they're like, yeah, they're going to give the rapper from Compton some smoke. Good luck.
Well, I don't think that they're in the same boat in that sense. Like, I feel like if you line up all of their albums, right, and, you ask what's the best album top to bottom, I'm going to go To Pimp a Butterfly, Good Kid, Mad City, Damn, probably go Section 80, and then we might get to the Eminem Show. Or it might be, like, slightly better than Section 80 or something like that. And I also feel like I said, with a lot of those garbage records that M has made, garbage albums that he's made, for whatever we feel about Kendrick being held so high, he hasn't really made, bad product like that. Even this album that is being critically acclaimed and just won Best Rap Album at the Grammys, even though it's his weakest album, I still would put it above Eminem's weak efforts. I would. So I don't know if they're in the same boat that way. I
wouldn't.
Really? So you?
It's bad, Mike. It's real bad. I'm tired of. It's bad. It's real bad. I'll take Recovery and Relapse over that shit. Yes,
what?
I will.
I don't know about
Straight
that.
Like
We should do a poll. Leroy Green with the super chat says, "What up, Mike and Coop? I don't appreciate Billboard biting our style, but they got number 1 right. Peace to A2HH." Yes. Yo, was you at the brunch, Leroy? I know.
Send Leroy his money back, okay? He sent Leroy his money back.
Leroy was sending us pictures from the brunch. How did we miss the brunch, man? I still want an invite. I do. Andrew Green with the $20 super chat. Appreciate the love. It says, modern day media is thirsty to always find the next. Kendrick is being put into position by media to be the contention for GOAT next to Jay-Z. The same way that LeBron was put next to Michael too early in the resume. I do think that, this is what I'll say. And I know you want to bring up Eminem in this context when it comes to, Kendrick and all of that stuff. But I would like for them to formulate an argument of why Kendrick is better than Nas to them. I mean, like, really, I really
like
want.
What?
Yeah, I want to hear that. You know,
like at what? Like, no. This is what I mean about how,
because
like,
everything, like you said, that they hold Kendrick high for, Nas has in spades.
Like, Mike, it ain't just spades, Mike. It ain't just spades. It's all the high spades.
Yeah.
It's like,
so you want to talk about his storytelling? Okay.
Big Joker.
Yeah. You want to, because honestly, let's keep it real. The one thing that they would knock Nas for in relation to Jay-Z is the hit records. Nas got more hit records than
Mike,
Kendrick.
That's why I'm saying. So how can you justify putting two? Like we don't have to get to 5. Right. Let's look at 3 and look at 4, and it's like, how the fuck you figure that?
Yeah,
like based on your list, not based on what we think, because we have to start looking at. Like, I realize that sometimes when we're critiquing things, I do this a lot when I'm out in the world. I try to look at things from the other perspective before I make a move.
Right.
And it's like, well, looking at it from your perspective, it's like, well, the shit that y'all holding him high for, it's like, well, the guys that are at 3 and 4 specifically, like 3 and 4 specifically, those two.
Right.
It's like, well, everything that you harangued him for, it's like, you understand the people at 3 or 4 actually do it like way better with better voices.
Yeah.
And actually, and even on both sides, still more depth of catalog of those quality of songs to show for it. So justify it in terms of like, and that's why I was asking you, are there people that are walking around here that feel like To Pimp a Butterfly is better than it was written? And tell me how.
Because, we look at Nas as more of, and I guess the mainstream, I would say, looks at Nas as more of a conceptual artist, an artist that's not really about giving you quote unquote club bangers, which he does.
Like,
and so if you ask a DJ, you ask let's say a DJ, right? You get your pick between doing a whole 2-hour set of one of these two artists. Which artist are you going to choose, Kendrick or Nas? You get to go through their whole catalog. Do you want to play a whole 2-hour DJ set of Kendrick music? Or do you want to play a whole DJ 2-hour set of Nas's music? Because I don't understand what arena Kendrick actually beats Nas in.
This is what I'm saying, and this is what I mean. So let's go to a couple things. Mike, I'm at a cigar bar late night on Sunday. Right before I'm leaving. I mean, and it's not because I'm in there. They don't know me. It's my first time in there and all that. I'm just chilling in the back. It Ain't Hard to Tell comes on, Mike. I put it on my Instagram stories because it's like that. I was in another cigar bar, Mike, 2 weeks before that. If I Rule the World came on. Just randomly. Like, we're in Atlanta. We're not in New York. This is me in Atlanta. Yeah. And it's just like, this stuff is just playing. Now, meanwhile, we just got done interviewing the Glove. And I'm like, Glove, what's up with Kendrick stuff? What do you think of it? He like, I ain't heard it. Mike, have you ever been outside in California where the traffic is thick, niggas have the drops back, and it's always sunny? So people are always playing music outside. So the fact that man was in L.A. and telling us that he ain't heard no songs, but I'm still down here in Atlanta, cigar bar hopping, and hearing It Ain't Hard to Tell, and If I Rule the World, play randomly. Do you get what I'm saying? On what meter and on what measure? Like, where?
Jay Short, do y'all hear Kendrick music out there in the streets on the West Coast? 36 Chambers with a super chat says, look at the editors of the list for the top 10. I bet you'll find Leroy Green's name on the list somewhere in there. Jay-Z listed at number 1. DeCarlo with the super chat says, the Eminem show. DeCarlo says, the Eminem show is better than To Pimp a Butterfly and Damn. There are mad songs I go to on that album before those Kendrick albums. Stop it. Now, I see why DeCarlo was telling me to chill out on my Eminem takes. That's ridiculous.
Actually, Mike, if we're talking about replay value, it's not as ridiculous you think in relationship to Pimp a Butterfly. Maybe with Damn, but the replay value on the Eminem show is pretty high, Mike. You've even cited it yourself. Like, think about it.
It's his best album, in my opinion.
Like, think about it. Till I Collapse, Cleaning Out My Closet, Superman. Yeah, there's stuff on there that holds.
Soldier. It's my joint.
Soldier. In like Square Dance.
You got Sing for the Moment on there too.
Yeah. No, I mean.
No, it's his best material, but But again, we're kind of grading this on the curve because his material doesn't have great replay value anyway. So it's like, yeah, it has great replay value for him, but I never go back to that album, to be perfectly honest with you.
But I don't be going back to Kendrick's albums either. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, that's fair. Just
so
if it became
so look, hold on, so if the replay value was low on both and it became like a numbers game, well,
it was for me. Obviously, we know why Eminem sells records, right? For me, I think it would come down to what's just the better album, and To Pimp a Butterfly is the better album.
See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean where Glove is changing my mind. I'm tired of saying stuff like that. It's like the better album is the shit that you play.
But again, that's the problem with Eminem's albums that sell
the
a bunch of records. The problem with Kendrick's
albums.
I feel you, but I'm just saying Eminem's record sales don't line up with how much these records get played. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's like, because this is the thing. Like Country Grammar selling 10 million, you feel that because you hear these songs. As DJ Khaled says, it's called songs that you play in real life, not these imaginary songs that nobody hears.
And I hear you. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you're trying to create some sort of separation between Kendrick and Eminem, and I'm just here to tell you that ain't really
no, I've already conceded to the fact that to some degree he is the black Eminem, but I do think that, I think his quality is better. He has a Good Kid, Mad City where Eminem doesn't.
We don't even know if the quality is better, Mike. He hasn't been rapping long enough for us to gauge it, because to be honest with you, if we were gauging it, and I've told you this, like Section 80 isn't an official album release. He's still independent. So a lot of that, people look at that like an independent release or a mixtape. So really, he did 3 major label albums, which is Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Damn. And then he did the little Untitled Unmastered thing, and then he disappeared for 5 years, Mike. And so the reality of the matter is that, like, by a lot of standards, he's really only got 3 dope major label albums that he put out. Well, shit, so does Eminem, but at least Eminem kept rapping.
Does Eminem have a better album than Good Kid, Mad City, in your opinion?
No, not at all. And I would probably agree with you that To Pimp a Butterfly is better than the Eminem show at the end of the day. Just in all honesty, like, there's not a how much a dollar costs or a hood politics like on the Eminem show. You feel what I'm saying? Or These Walls.
These Walls, or yeah.
Right.
No, Man.
So I feel you, but what I'm saying is like, oh, well, really, when I look at it, like, on other people's rubric, Mike, like, based on how they're rating it, it's like, oh, well, there ain't that much of a fucking difference. Like, 3 great albums over here, 2 great albums and 1 dope album over here. You took a 5-year break. You dropped some shit that sucks. I don't care what people keep telling me about it. It's whack. People inside the industry know that it's whack. People be scared to tell this man that it's whack. I don't know why. I'm going to be out here telling him that it's whack until he makes something better that he's actually capable of making.
Jay said it was special. Did you see when Jay-Z pulled him to the side and said his album's special?
He told Jeezy that Jeezy's first album was a classic. Mike, what do you think about that?
I think it's just Jay-Z
Mike,
being
I asked you
Jay-Z.
a question. Jay told Jeezy that his first album was an undeniable classic. What say you?
I say Jay-Z's being Jay-Z. And
thank you.
Yeah, Jay-Z's being Jay-Z. Just you run with the super chat says, stop it, Coop. Have really bad albums after the Eminem show. Relapse is 1,000 times worse than Mr. Morale.
No,
I'm with you on that.
He's rapping on Relapse, and he's actually talking about going to therapy instead of trying to put you through therapy.
Morale Prophetic says, Nas ain't got no Mother I Sober or Sing About Me.
Hello? Hello. Where have you been?
Anybody heard Rewind?
Where have you been, young man?
I don't know. I think he's new to the show. I love it, though. Welcome to the show.
No. Just go check the catalog and start from the top.
Has anybody heard Rewind?
Chronological order.
Wait a minute. Has anybody heard I Give You Power? I Gave You Power. Excuse me. Has anybody heard Rewind?
It's very problematic, the things that are happening if you don't educate people, Mike.
It's wild.
Can I get a blaze of 50? Mike, I was actually thinking, let's go personal like Kendrick does. Like, let's go Fetus or Papa Was a Player or Drunk by Myself.
Yeah.
You feel me?
We could go there.
Like, which way would you like to go?
Yeah.
Which way would you like to go with the storytelling?
Jay,
would you like to go to shootouts and the setup and the message, Mike? You feel me? You want to keep it gangster? Go shootouts, message, setup?
I was thinking what goes around comes around too. But if we want to go like, you know, socio-political. Jay Short with the super chat says, I can't believe I'm defending M, but even Relapse has some banging Dr. Dre beats on there. And Recovery has some hits. Mr. Morale has neither. I'm with Coop on this. Now, I will say this.
I'm telling you the truth. Relapse and Recovery are better, Mike. Because they have about 3 or 4 songs on there that you can actually play as a hip-hop fan and be like, yo, this is dope. It's almost all done by Dr. Dre, coincidentally enough, but still.
Thumbs up in the chat. I want everybody to get in this conversation because we're about to get real deep, real heavy on this subject. Real quick, I will say this, man. He got nominated, Kendrick that is, for 8 Grammys, right? 2 of them were for Album of the Year. Well, not Album of the Year. It was Album of the Year, Best Rap Album. So 2 of those were album nominations. The other one was for the melodic category.
What is that, Mike?
Yeah, that's some other shit, right? But the other 5 were literally for the Heart Part 5. And the Heart Part 5 was not on the album that we originally listened to when it was released. They later added it. Saying all that to say, it does validate your point and Jay Short's point about the lack of bangers on there, because 5 out of his 8 nominations from this album came from a song that's not even on this album.
And it's the first time that he's ever put one of those on his album.
Yeah. So if he had things on that album, first of all, he never would have had to put the Heart Part 5 on the album in the first place. And those other records would have actually gotten the nominations, except besides the record that actually didn't make the album. So that does validate that. You know what I mean? That's like if Stillmatic comes out, and I want to keep it in Nas terms, right? The Stillmatic album comes out, and the Stillmatic freestyle is not on there, right? And for whatever reason, he ends up having to put the Stillmatic freestyle back on there. And it's like 5 of his 8 Grammy nominations come from the Stillmatic freestyle that's not even supposed to be on the album.
Well, here's what's crazy about it, Mike. Let's stay right there. We're going to call him number 3 downstairs since he's number 3. Number 3 downstairs, well, Stillmatic is so great that you forget that he even did the Stillmatic fucking freestyle.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be about.
On.
I mean, that's what
I'm saying?
That's what every other Kendrick album is.
You do not listen to Mike. By the time you get done listening to like You're the Man, you ain't even thinking about the fact you're like you forgot that he made the Stillmatic freestyle.
Again, To Pimp a Butterfly and Damn and Good Kid, Mad City is so dope. I don't even care that the Hearts didn't make it on there.
I don't remember.
I don't even remember them. Right?
So good. Thank you.
Exactly.
I don't even remember those.
Yeah. Because the Heart Part 5 was supposed to be a warm-up, like everything else is. Like, okay, get ready for this album. Boom, boom. I mean, it was common knowledge, at least from us, you know, hip-hop fans and Kendrick fans, that this ain't going to be on the album. And then to come back and find out that this song gets 5 out of your 8 nominations, that really doesn't reflect well on the album itself. I would say that. And because the fact you had to go back retroactively and put it on there. It would be one thing if it was initially on there and they were like, you know what, this Heart Part 5 is so good, we got to put it on the album. They didn't put it on the album. They retroactively put the shit on the album.
Because it's not good. Like I told you.
I'm just saying.
It's not good.
I'm saying all that to say that it validates your point on that. It does. Their moves validate that point.
But like, right, because if the music was great, or if the music was even good, well, these moves would not be getting made now, would they?
If that album was what they said it was, the Heart Part 5 wouldn't have got any nominations. It would have been something else that's on the album. You have to
understand, when you're adding a song to an album that it originally wasn't intended for, and you get the nominations that you garner, and literally I'd say what, in technical terms, I think it'd be like 68% of your nominations are coming from a song that wasn't included for the project. Well, that means the project wasn't that good, because where are the songs and where's the hoopla about the project?
About the songs that are actually on the project.
Right. Like, where's the hoopla? Like, what song did he perform from the project the other night?
Who?
Kendrick.
I don't think he performed the other night. No.
So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
This is what I want people to understand. So hip-hop's turning 50. there's a Hip Hop 50 performance. This is got to get named number 2 on the all-time list. He's there winning Best Rap Album. He don't perform no shit from the album that won Best Rap Album while Hip Hop turning 50. And I'm a hater and I'm tripping. Shut the fuck up about this whack-ass album, please.
DeCarlo with the super chat says, the real business move was putting Drake at 8. He's the LeBron equivalent in hip-hop and who they really want to make the GOAT.
Swap Drake out for Kendrick. I'll be happier. I would accept that more.
I'm surprised that they didn't put Drake over Wayne because I feel like the industry has been trying to push Wayne behind Drake for a minute, and I thought they were going to do it on this list. So I was pleasantly surprised that they did not do it. But
so that's what I mean. Where I feel like they've been listening to us, though, Mike, because I feel like the way that they wanted this list to go, it was going to go more like Jay-Z, Eminem, Drake, Wayne, Pac, Biggie.
No, Kendrick was gonna get a top spot. I predicted Kendrick at 4, and I know.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. Slap Pac and Biggie down some more, and Kendrick.
Yeah, I predicted Kendrick at 4, and I thought that was overzealous. I didn't see two coming.
No. They wanted to put those guys up. They wanted to go Jay, M, Drake, maybe Kendrick, and then Wayne. Yeah.
Rigger Raw 7 with the super chat says, what up, homies? Kenny winning and Nas not nominated isn't surprising. He's pimped the agendas and people's feelings, and they want to push him. Told y'all.
Nas didn't submit the music to be, you have to submit. So it wasn't submitted in time, I believe. So,
yeah,
like I think people think that they just be like, "Hey, you motherfucker!" It's like, no. There has to be like a submission. There's a whole. It's a business, Mike. There's a whole process.
Well, yeah, I think the cutoff is. I think there's obviously a submission too. But did he meet the cutoff too? No.
Yeah, 11/11 is in time. If I'm not mistaken, but
I don't think so because I remember not To Pimp a Butterfly. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy came out in November, and they pushed that to the next year.
Did it?
Yeah, they did.
I'll check. I'll see.
Yeah.
I think, either way.
I think Magic.
Where was that performance at, though, Mike?
Magic might have been the one that wasn't submitted.
He just won Best Rap Album at the Grammys. He was there. Hip Hop was turning 50. Where was the performance? You want to know what? Because here was the thing. He didn't want to perform because they was going to want him to do all right. And the problem with doing all right is like, well, you just made an album that just won Best Rap Album. So if you have where the song off that album that you can perform, there ain't one.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And that's why Relapse and Recovery are better.
Oh, no. AB Studio with the super chat says.
Go listen to Relapse and Recovery, Mike. Mike, if you go listen to Relapse and Recovery with a fair ear, you will walk away saying it's like, damn, I don't believe Coop was right. That like this is better than that.
I'll do that.
Than that holistic therapy session Kendrick just had to get us. He's like, he just tried to tell us to get some electric blankets and like bake marshmallows and like talk about our childhood trauma and shit. It's like, no, nigga. It's like, I wanted some shit to ride to today. Like, nobody's trying to do that with you, fam.
Yeah, after 5 years, AB Studio with the super chat says, I'm about replay value. Both M and Kendrick have little replay value. I follow K-Dot since swimming pools, and I'm all for him growing as an artist, but no. I mean, it is what it is, and I like that point, AB Studio. Shout out to you. He says, I mean, you always hear people talking about, oh, let artists grow, blah, 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 or y'all want artists to do this, y'all want artists to do that. No, we just want something to enjoy and to ride to. Ain't nobody listening to it like that. Like, do your thing. Like, I applaud any growth that an artist has, but if I'm not a fan of the music, I'm just not a fan of the music. It's not like I'm not a fan of your journey. Like, I don't really like 444 because I just can't. I mean, it's not some of my favorite stuff by this particular artist. Now, I applaud where he was going with it, but I don't listen to it. And it's not personal. I just don't.
Recovery and Relapse actually had themes that the artist followed.